Mr.
Wait,
Johnathan
what?
Schmidt.
There's
Oh my
another.
God.
I thought I was
Johnathan
supposed
Schmidt
to-
is here?
Yes,
Oh no, I'm on the show now. Oh shit.
he's on the show now.
Hello, hello.
Johnathan Smidt, as I live
No.
and breathe.
Right.
Is it
My
Smith or
old
Schmidt?
foe.
It's Smith. The
Smith,
D is
okay.
silent.
Oh, right.
Oh.
I'm wondering if I'm supposed to insert an H. That's it.
No,
or a
no.
No. Okay.
When
Just
yeah, when my family came over, we couldn't afford the extra letters, so we had to drop
Gotcha.
the CH.
Whoa.
Well, they paid for the crossing fare, right?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
joking matter.
They were like,
Oh, man,
We couldn't afford it.
your first name is hella expensive.
Yeah, when it's like,
Well, that
can't
was
afford the
later on
letters.
though. I was like the
That was when they
forefathers
branched out
couldn't
a
afford
little
the
bit.
last
Oh,
name, but my parents could afford the first name.
You got a new letter
your
every
great
birthday?
grandfather was just called
It wasn't even a full letter. It was just like a small picture.
right.
It was a little
Just like
weird.
a
At first,
single
they came over and it
phoneme.
was just.
Look, it's
You've really
J- and s-
expanded. Love what you've done with the place. So
good
welcome. Is this
times.
your? I was gonna say, is this your first Soundbooth Theatre live? But now I have this memory that I think this
it's
is your
second because Jeff and I did a bit a while back.
Yeah,
Nice,
that was
nice.
man. That's maybe when the first Bone Dungeon came out.
Yeah,
right?
it was. It's been a while.
Yeah,
It's been a
ages
hot
maybe
minute.
ago.
It's 2020 was a year. That was a thing that happened.
It kind of feels like it wasn't though,
Was.
honestly.
Right.
Like I'm still reeling from the fact that like a whole year went by,
Yeah,
and now as well with having to go out and do stuff now, with like having this whole kind of like world of like bars that are open and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
I mean, 2020
Like,
was just like that
what do I
bender
do?
of drinking, and then the start of 2021 was the hangover.
Exactly. And now it's like
There
the
you go.
cold hard light of morning is like
Yeah,
shining
you're
in
like,
at me. I'm like,
"Ah."
oh no, other people exist.
Doubling outside.
I've been
just
here in my
these are
cave."
people.
It sucks, man. So congratulations on part 3 of Bone Dungeon coming out on Hallowed Bones.
Thank you.
Being released
Yeah.
on Audible. Amazing.
Finally wraps up the conclusion. It's kind of like that part of the life is done. It's kind of surreal.
It's crazy. Did you ever like? Was it your first series that you did with Soundbooth?
It's my debut. Everything like that is
Oh,
my
wow.
first ever series.
That's
So
amazing.
that is like my author career. It was those 3 books.
Got its little kickstart there. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, we've come to the very end, and it's released now, and it's very sad. We no longer get to go and meet Ryan and Blake and the rest.
I know, good fun.
Do you miss it? Do you miss like being able to like go into that world and write it and stuff?
Sometimes. I mean, the characters definitely they grew themselves. I'm a huge pantser when I write, so like I didn't have a plot when I sat down. I was just like, I'm gonna write a dungeon core.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Like none of this was plotted out. Like
No
I was just
way.
like, hey, Portal Books. I'm like, they hit me up. They're like, we like your writing style. I'm like, hey, I'll write a book for you guys. And they're like, okay. And then I sent them like 5 chapters. And I'm like, hell yeah, we like this book. And I was like, cool. I don't know where it's going, but all right. Trilogy. Got it. Let's
That's
see
incredible.
what
Well,
happens.
you pulled it out the bag. To be fair,
Yeah.
Right, to your credit.
Editing is very helpful.
very much so. Oh, I guess you had like it wasn't like you just like churned out one thing and then that was what.
Well, it is because I turned it out, and then the first book's done, and we had to edit it. And I'm like, so what happens at the end of the first book? I can kind of edit into the beginning, but that's it. So like by the time we got to Hallowed Bones, and I had stuff from the first book popping up still, like the wolf ring, I had no idea where the hell that was going with. I just thought it was a fun moment in book 1. I'm like, here you go, this is gonna be a thing. And then come book 3, it's got this epic history to it, and it becomes
Right,
this
it
major
became like a
plot point.
whole thing. Like,
Yeah, so he's been carrying this around, and like my publishers, they're just like, oh man, like you planned this out, and I'm like, nope, not at all.
Have you always been like that? Were you like the kid that like when you were in English class at school, like all of the other kids are like diligently doing your homework and you just like make something up on the spot, and the teacher's like,
Oh, yeah.
amazing, that's
Oh, no,
great,
yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone's
that was-
like shooting daggers, like.
Yeah, I mean, I did debate in high school, and like my biggest thing was like, I retained knowledge. So I just retained a bunch of random shit. So then it'd be like, all right, well, here's the debate. Let's go in. Here's your topic. I'm like, cool. And everybody's like scrambling and trying to plan things. And they're like, aren't you going to do anything? I'm like, nah, I'm going to take a nap.
You're like, I got this.
And then I
sorted
walk
out."
in there and just throw out all this stuff. And everybody's just staring. They're like, this fucking guy.
This dude.
Yeah. Like, what is he doing? What?
That's
And, yeah,
amazing.
it's good
Ah,
times.
I'm
But-
very jealous. I can't claim to have any of that skill myself, so
Yeah,
for the rest
it's
of
just
us.
the voices in my head. They just built themselves.
Seems to be working out pretty well for you. Ghost.
Hey, if you say your voices in your head are talking to you, it's totally fine if you're an author.
Exactly. Similarly,
Or
if you're a
narrator.
voice actor, right?
Or
Yeah,
narrator,
right.
yeah.
We get a free pass as well. Like,
Normal people, you're schizophrenic, but if you're an author, it's like, hey, it's good for the business,
I mean,
Yeah.
who would I be without the voices in my head, right?
right?
Just boring old you, I guess.
It's all of those character building moments in life that just really sucked, and they're like, it's building character. Yeah, now they're showing up. They're 30 years later. They're drunk, and it's good times.
So I was gonna ask you, like, what was the plot point in Bone Dungeon that you were most excited for people to find out? But now that I've realized that that wasn't a thing, I'm like, which is the plot point that you found most interesting to find out? Which, when you're writing it down, you're like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening.
So yeah, let's see.
It turns the question on its head all of a sudden.
I know, right? So tying in all of the oh man. Now I'm blanking. I'm writing so many stories at the same time too now that I'm just like characters, which one's which? So the Jack's character arc I really had a lot of fun with. And tying in his half-blood situation and his father and everything and just building that up and then watching it develop and then finding out that the twins were the ones who actually hunted down his father and the whole situation that come down. I was just like that was really and it was showing the way rules, regulations, and just cultures and everything can be twisted because the victors tell the story and everything. So that was a really fun sub arc to kind of see developed. And I felt like Jack as a character really was developing because he started out as just this easygoing just goof that was really hiding a lot of pain and prejudice from his childhood behind his just goofy nature, and then seeing that kind of come to light and seeing him find people he wanted to protect and care for. That was surprising. I was like, wow, that's a deep character.
Yeah, man. I think there's something to be said as well about your writing style in that from the beginning he was a little bit more black and white than just the class clown or whatever, or there was always a little bit more to him. And so that's why it's such a surprise for me to be wait, you didn't plan that? It kind of happened. I wonder if your deep subconscious knew. You're somewhere in the back of your brain, one of your cortexes was I've got a story to tell. It's a story about a werewolf called Jack.
And I mean, the characters always do that. Any story that I've been writing, the characters just start to develop and really flesh themselves out. And I'm just like, where did this come from?
Right?
What are you guys doing back there?
Who are you?
How expensive is the counseling that I need to hire for all of you?
It seems like the writing it down is great counseling enough, and you don't want to go too hard on the counseling, because if it means we don't get any more books from you, then that would be a crying shame. I'm not sure I could allow that. So
and that's the people that watch me write and everything, because I definitely get into that flow state. I've been streaming my writing lately, and people see me do 4,000 words in an hour and a half, and it's just it's just it happens. I sit down, I'm like, all right, guys, we're writing today. And then the words just kind of go, and it's just it's providing them an out. But I can't talk that fast. If you ask me to brainstorm, we wouldn't get this in depth. It has to be through that medium of writing with the keyboard, because I can't handwrite that fast either. Just something about sitting down in front of a keyboard just lets me release all of that and bring it to life, which is really cool.
That's amazing. Are you one of those people with a really enviable super high word speed as well? With touch typing? God damn it.
That's my super skill. I mean, since I started writing I wrote Bone Dungeon in the span of 3 months.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How many words was Bone Dungeon?
Bone Dungeon was 112,000. Hallowed Bones was 172. I think I average 50,000 words a month. But I'm also working on 3 or 4 stories at a time.
So let's talk about that, because you were telling me earlier on this year you've written a tennis lit RPG book.
Yeah,
which
so
is
well, currently he's playing soccer.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So tell me about this. I need to know everything.
it's a slice of life tennis lit RPG because during COVID I started playing tennis. Like I was like, I need something to get outside and be active. So I was like, I'm gonna go take tennis lessons. Great idea. Never done this in my life. And I fell in love with the sport. I'm like, this is a lot of fun. And I watched some tennis anime, and I'm just like, oh, this is great. So a lot of the writing that I do usually, I started on the side. It's just kind of like way to decompress and put words out. So I started writing this tennis slice of life lit RPG where like the game system in it is kind of like a mixture between The Sims and the Elder Scrolls games.
What?
Yeah.
Like two diametrically opposed game franchises, and you're just like, tennis.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
So he's got all these different like
binds you together. Like
he's got these different
serve.
Yeah, he's got these different skills and traits, and like as he levels them up, he can essentially auto a task, and based off of how his points have leveled up and things, he gets to, do good at those. It shows him like where he's gotten to right now. He's still pretty beginner levels in it, but he's picking it up fast because it's a gamified system. Because the whole joke is Truck Kun failed and it didn't kill him, so it transferred the powers, but he didn't get isekai'd. So
Love
now
that.
it's like, well, you got like superpowers, but you're still in the real world. This is awkward.
Oh no, what do we do?
Go have fun with this.
That's amazing. So wait, so
but,
now he's playing soccer though? So he starts off in the tennis world, and then that's not enough.
Well, so what happened was he started off, he's brand new at the school. He comes from like a military family, moved around a lot, all that jazz. So he's a freshman at the school, and as does any proper anime protagonist, he sees this girl who he's like, oh my God, that's the one. I like that girl.
Mhm.
And the guy showing him around is like the son of the principal, and it's like this superstar tennis awesome like athlete is just like, oh, she only goes for tennis players. So he's like, oh, well, I don't know how to
He's
play
like,
tennis.
oh, hell.
He's like, shit, I don't know how to play tennis. So like the seniors like takes him under his wing. He's like, I'm gonna teach you. And then because of the some things and stuff and him getting these powers, he starts to pick up the sport really fast. So now we've got the senior that's taking an interest in him because he's like, this is my prodigy. This guy gets the sport. I'm gonna train him up. Well, things are going good for like a month, and then the senior had to go away for a reason. We haven't disclosed the reason yet, but he goes away for a reason. And because of the special attention that our main character had been getting, the rest of the tennis team doesn't like him.
Ooh.
So they were just like, all right, we're gonna haze him essentially. And they were, bullying him. The kid's just learning how to play tennis. And then he was actually gonna win the match though, because they were like, you gotta beat one of our kids, otherwise you can't play tennis for the whole week. And he was about to win, and then the jackass, that there always is like second in the tennis world that's bitter about the guy above him.
Classic rival.
Was like, oh, well, if so-and-so loses, he's off the team. So our main character was just like, you know what? I can do without a week of practice. I'm going to throw the match. So he throws the match, and then the overarching deity-like feature that's giving him hints and tips about how to use his powers is like, you do know you can level things up faster if you learn new skills and like go do other things than just tennis, right? So the character's like, oh, well, I really liked playing soccer before this. So now he just went out to the soccer team and is like flexing on a bunch of freshmen.
That's amazing.
He actually plays soccer, and that was actually his sport.
So he didn't even have to have like the montage training in the beginning. He
he actually knows what he's doing, and he actually has a bunch of stats to it. So now as he's playing it, like they're all unlocking and showing like this high level that he'd already had in it. And he's just like, oh, well, with my game system combined with what I already naturally had, this is easy mode.
That's amazing. I just love that it's such a like different. I don't know.
It's so
like
completely different. Yeah, like it's not. Oh, we're battling with swords and everything. It's like, oh, well, he just did this drop shot, and oh, he's gonna rush. Yeah,
it's incredible. I'm already like so new in terms of like 3 years ago. I had no concept of the fact that like Gamelit as a genre really existed. Like, I think I'd kind of encountered it and like always thought that whenever I'd seen it, it was like a one-off thing. I'm like, oh, weird. Someone's like written a book that's kind of like a video game. Like, I didn't realize that it was like a thing. And now this is like an even like smaller door that's open to me that I'm like glimpsing through into like, wait, what tennis literature that's also gamified? I love that you have that description of like The Sims meets Elder Scrolls. Like, I just think that's like the perfect. I'm like, why wouldn't that be how you
I know,
present
and
a tennis Gamelit. Like,
I
obviously.
make snide jokes about them too because I was like, yeah, guys, I don't like money. I'm just gonna do this random niche thing that nobody's gonna ever read, but it's fun.
But it seems
Who
like
needs
people are
money?
liking it as well, right? Like you're
Yeah, it,
getting an
I
audience for your tennis. It's awesome.
I was uploading it on Royal Road, and it hit trending on like day 14, so that was spiffy.
That's incredible.
Uh,
Congrats.
But that's actually like I'm happy with that. But my gem story, like my super secret story that I'm like the most excited about, is this one called Dead Exorcist, but it's DED, Dead Exorcist. But that one's just I know that one's just on Patreon. Like I want to share it on Royal Road, like I want to get it out there, but it's just like it's like my super secret gem that I'm just like this one is so good.
Amazing. So are
so,
you
like-
putting that out bit by bit on Patreon at the moment?
Yeah, I write like 5 chapters a week right now.
Mhm.
For it. It's like I started it in April, and I'm like 53,000 words into it as of today. And it's developing so well. Like just from all of my experience, everything as a writer that I've been building up and everything, like it's all just flowing through to it so well. And it's like this combination of it's an augmented reality, lit RPG I call it because
Oh,
it takes
nice.
place in the real world, but is pulling like digital aspects and everything. So it's like this combination of like Digimon meets Pokemon Go meets like the Devil Survivor Shin Megami Tensei games.
Oh
And
man.
it's so good. And I'm just like so happy about it. So every time I write it, I'm just like, guys,
This is the best. That's
I was
incredible.
like,
So have you already put up like are you releasing exactly like what you write as you write
Yeah.
it?
yeah, I
Wow,
don't
dude.
edit. I don't edit until the end of anything. So everything that I put out is all unedited because I hate editing. It slows me down.
Yeah. It's not super fun, is it? Having to
No.
get like doing something in the first instance is always super fun, but then having to go back and scrutinize something that you've done and change it is like
Yeah.
soul destroying. It's soul destroying. You're destroying a part of your actual soul, and I hate it.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing is like, if I stop to edit, then I'm just gonna like keep editing because I'm just like a perfectionist. I'm like, oh no, that's not good enough, and I'm gonna keep.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'll worry about that later. The important thing is getting the words on paper and getting the story out there. And once that's done, I can edit the whole damn thing.
Agreed. So how super secretive is it? Can you tell us like anything more about?
Well, it's not like super secretive. It's just not gonna hit like Royal Road or anything because even though that one would probably bring me so many readers, I'm just
Mhm.
waiting until it's done. But so the whole premise behind it is you've got essentially the world has like another dimension that's kind of like near it, and so I go into like frequencies and resonances, which I had no idea where that was coming from, but it's like Nikola Tesla style stuff. But essentially, so this other dimension, there are people in our world that resonate with it, and so they can actually see the demonic creatures coming over from that because they come
shit.
over from it to like feed on people. And so they're actually like creating rifts that they come through on. And so there's this ancient organization that's been fighting these demonic creatures that come through. And that's where we get these demonic creatures from mythology. So like,
Nice.
Fenris, the deities, all the stories and everything, those are all like actual
so it
events
all
that were
like
being kept down.
links
Yeah.
back.
But the frequency of these rifts and everything has been like increasing. So we're coming to this like pinnacle point. So in order to find people that resonate and can become what they're called a dead exorcist, because DED stands for digitally energized demons. So in order to find these exorcists, the secret organization spent years creating essentially a game. So like a Pokemon Go style app. And then when you log into it, the first time you log into it, it does a biometric scan and releases a frequency. And if you resonate with it, it awakens that like power within you. So then you can start to actually see the demons as they are.
Snap. Okay.
And you have to like make bonds with them and like level them up and power them up and evolve them, and you can fuse them and all of that and make them stronger. And they're trying to like essentially stop whatever the apocalypse is, because these creatures that are coming over, they drain the essence from people, they cause accidents, they cause catastrophes. So it's like we need more soldiers because we don't have enough, and the ones we do have are dying off too quickly. And so
Dude,
he
that's dope.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that was real life? Like, I don't know,
Right?
ever since I played the very first Pokemon game, I've been like, I want a little monster that fits in a ball in my pocket so much.
And then it's so
Like-
great because like normal people can't see it. So you've got all these people flocking to these areas because they're playing the augmented reality game of it.
Oh,
And they
so
don't
they
know-
still like if you get the scan, like you're still playing it regardless.
still
If you get
playing the
scan, like, you're
game,
like
yeah.
it's real.
Yeah. So you've got all these people flocking to these places, playing the game like on their phones and leveling up their demons, thinking they're just playing a game. And then there's like a few exorcists here and there amongst them that are, it's like real life for them, just blending in. So it's like the
I love
perfect
that.
camouflage.
I have this like mental image of some little like cute little like 7-year-old child like playing on their mom's phone in the park, and it's all like, you know, birds singing and everyone's happy, and then like smash cut to this other guy who's standing there with like molten rock all around him, like explosions going off,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and everyone else is
it's
just
fun.
standing around like licking an ice cream, completely oblivious.
And then like for more realistic feel to it, I put it in Colorado Springs, which is where I spent a lot of my teenage years and adult life. So it's
Nice.
it's an area I'm extremely familiar with. So like I'm just adding in these actual real places, and I'm like, oh yeah, this was a place that high energy here, so the frequency was resonating here, so this is going off here. And
That's
he's
very
gonna go to this
cool.
local shop over here, and I'm like, yeah, it's like this many minute drive, like just because
It
it's
must
an
have
area I'm so
been-
familiar with.
It must have been cool to kind of like revisit that area like in your
Yeah.
mind as well, to kind of like go back there and like pay homage to it,
It
or homage,
definitely
whatever
is.
word is.
So it's a lot of fun. Some of the places I'll be describing that I'm like, man, I miss this area.
Aww. I get that sometimes when I like read anything that's set in England, and like they'll be talking
Yeah.
about like, I read a book recently and they were talking about a very specific area of London, and I was like, I know that area of London. I was there once upon a time. Like, I don't know. I got all
and,
misty about it.
We got this comment from JS saying high energy at Grunt of the Gods. I actually I had the main character climb up to the top of the incline, and in doing so was actually releasing enough latent energy that he created a small rift, and he got his second demon from that. That was a bladed drakeling. So it's like a little baby drakeling that he's leveling up right now to become a
Adorable.
full-on drake.
Love
Yeah,
that.
and then he of course he's a main character, so he has the maximum resonance potential, meaning he's got the potential to control the strongest dead out there.
Uh-huh.
So he was a high priority to pick up, so they sent a special agent Loki to go get him, which was this mysterious masked figure with a laughing mask on that actually wields the power of Fenris in battle.
Oh, sick. And is that meant to be kind of like the Loki from mythology that like he's been there
That's-
before or something? And
Well, that's why he's got the code name Loki, because his dead is Fenrir.
amazing.
And they're just like, yeah, his code name's Loki because in the ancient times, the mage that originally captured this dead was named Loki, and so it's just carrying on that homage.
That's very cool. Dude, that's amazing. So do you have like a release in mind for it? Like, do you know when or is it going to be one of those things that you're like, I'm writing this out until it gets there?
I mean, I'll keep writing it. We'll probably first book will probably be like 2022. Just because I got a couple releases planned for this year that we're hopefully going to be trying to get out. So I have a nice backlog because while I was writing Bone Dungeon and Infernal Bones and Hallowed Bones, I was obviously writing other things as well. So I've got a good amount of stuff saved up that I'm editing and editing and editing and editing.
That's amazing. I'm very envious of that. I have a very single track mind and I cannot concentrate on more than a single project at a time, like to my detriment. And so when I see people that are like, yeah, and then I was doing this and I was working on that at the same time, and then I did some bits on here, I'm like, how? How is your brain that complex? Like,
Well,
mine just falls out of my mind if I try to
part of it keeps me
overload
from
it.
burning out. Like if I focus on a project for too long, I'll burn out. So being able to hop onto side projects and goof off like in a low stress environment keeps me from burning out. And then also I procrastinate like really well. So when I have
Me
a project
too.
that I'm like, oh yeah, I really need to edit that. Or I can go write in this story today. I'm just gonna go make a new story. That's fine. I should be editing.
Isn't it wild how like most people that are like professional procrastinators would rather do something more difficult as a means of procrastination than doing the actual job that they need to do. Like I do this, I'm guilty of this all the time. I'm like, instead of finishing off this thing that will take me half an hour and be relatively stress-free, why don't I embark on an entirely new project that I have to do tons of research and work for, and it'll take me all week, if not months? Like, I'll just do that instead and put off the important thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. But it's good that you still, it's good that you still have that, like, when you procrastinate, you're still doing something, like, largely constructive, right? Like,
yeah, I was going to say, it at least it gives me more stories to eventually put out there for everybody to enjoy. And like I said, my patrons are currently loving it, so it's good fun.
That's amazing. Is there? Are we ever going to see a return back to the Bone Dungeon world, or do you think that chapter's like closed for now?
So I did. The way I finished it, I did actually want to go back into the world and follow like the kids of our lovely band of adventurers, and then also it was on the to-do list eventually when life is, calm enough and all the projects line up in the perfect world. But I had begun writing an anthology, working on an anthology of sorts that showed the adventurers during their off-screen time. During Bone Dungeon and the Elemental Dungeon series. So there's actually, the first one was a 5,000 word short that's available on Patreon and then on Portal's mailing list called The Path of Flames. And that actually covers how Emily gets her dragon. So it actually covers her going to the God of Fire's dungeon and actually interacting with him. And it shows some more like the mythology of the world. And you get to see the God of Flames doing his thing with his companion, who was a phoenix that transforms into a female named Scarlet.
Because I was going to say, there's a lot of stuff like Emily's Dragon and like so many other bits where like there's implied story, or like there's a bit where like I don't know, like it's like you're left wondering, right? There's a lot of things that you're like, and that's what surprised me so much when you're like, oh, I don't plan it in ahead of time, and I'm like, but all of these characters have all of this like flesh to them, like all of these things that like you wonder about, like how they came to be. To the point that like when I first started reading it, like there was a couple of moments where I was like, oh, that must be from like another book, like, or like from a series that I don't know about or something like that.
So it was actually Emily showed up with Cinder in book 1, and Cinder was great. We all loved the adorable little dragon chasing after skeletal bones. It was great. So yeah, like after Bone Dungeons is done and everything, Portal's like, hey, can you do any shorts for our mailing list and everything? I was like, sure, I'll make up a story on how Emily got Cinder. And then from that, I ended up like creating Elijah and creating like this ancient group of summoners that existed in times before. And that was when I first created the Knuckle V that I ended up bringing into Hallowed Bones. Because, it was just like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. 5,000 words later, I was like, oh.
You're like, shit, I guess I had a story to tell there. Like, that had some legs.
So yeah, I did intend to make an anthology that actually covers from bronze all the way up to platinum and diamond for the characters. What they've been doing in the off-screen time, so somebody could pick it up and it'd be like, remember, like, I don't know if you guys read like the old Dragonlance books, but how the Dragonlance had some anthologies that like covered, the history and all of this other stuff of the world, and they'd be broken into just these little short stories, and you could read them individually or read them as a whole, and it just deepened a story. So it was kind of an idea for that. But I think before I did that, I needed to finish. I've been working on a tabletop RPG for the Elemental Dungeon series world, to where you actually have somebody playing as a dungeon core, and then the players get to play as adventurers going into it. And as the players are leveling up, they get to unlock their different skills and abilities. And then the dungeon core actually gets to like expand its dungeon every time it's leveling up and get new mobs and add in more mob points and all of that.
Nice. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I had that one. Like, it's super close to being playtest ready. I just have to probably sit down and spend another afternoon on it.
Jeez, that's incredible. Have you made a tabletop game before?
No.
Oh wow, this is incredible.
This is just like, have you written a book before? Nah, but I did it.
Let's give it a go. Like, cue to like 6 months later, and like Johnathan Smidt is like the CEO of Hasbro or something. Like, geez.
It's like, it's
overachiever over here.
It's that joke of like, oh, talented and gifted kids are now just a bunch of depressed kids with ADHD with hyperfocus. Pretty much. Watch me do something and then watch me lose interest.
But at least you did it. Mm-hmm. I love that. Like, I'm just seeing everyone's faces kind of like nodding in agreement. Like, it me.
I mean, yeah, we all share those feels.
Yes, indeed. Amazing. That's very cool. So when's your I already asked that. I said when I was going to ask when the Patreon book is coming out, but you already answered.
Tennis book's coming out.
So Aced is actually on Royal Road.
Right.
It's there. It's a fantastic cover.
It is. Yes, my wife actually made that cover.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Well,
Wait. I want to see
There's
it.
there's 80s music playing in my head right now when I'm
Yeah,
looking at that.
It's got that
Oh,
very
man.
Tron feel to it.
Yeah, that to me sounds amazing. Like I let's see. One book that's really successful right now is the oh no.
There it is. Oh yeah, this is
Oh,
what you
it's
showed
right
me
there.
before.
It's right there. There's already an ad right there. Oh great, I was reincarnated as a farmer, you know. So
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like,
yeah, that
like
one.
people are digging deep, like
Yeah.
finding new.
You're gonna like
interesting
throw
ways
something
to come
crazy at me. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
People are
like,
ready
it's like
for it.
it's like
hit me
just-
with something unusual.
yeah, everybody's done the video game, like, fighting stories, and now everybody's like, well, what else do we got out there?
right.
And then you
Right.
and you got Wandering
cover
End,
is
obviously, right? You had Wandering
cover is
End,
great.
you had Tall Rock by Xander that started the farming thing, and then you got Reincarnated as a Farm. There's the chicken one. I can't remember what the chicken
Yeah,
one was.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah.
the
Oh,
chicken
shit.
one?
Oh no, what is it called?
Something with chicken in the name.
Beware of chicken. Beware of chicken.
Yeah, Beware of Chicken.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Yeah, so everybody's just
I
like,
actually got addicted to that one. That
yeah,
was
see.
awesome.
Yeah, but Ace will be getting updated again soon on Railroad. It's actually, I think I've got like a 10 or a 12 chapter buffer on Patreon right now. I've just been too lazy to actually update Railroad.
Oh
Jeez.
right.
I got to this point where like, I don't know, like it's kind of detrimental because Patreon's like my main source of income. But I stopped like caring about rankings on Railroad and like scrambling to try to like keep up that weekly updates because I'm just like, no, I don't want to like stress out of updating every time just for you guys. Like I'm writing these stories for fun, and like if I worry too
Yeah.
much about the business side, the passion leaves them. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
my
when it's a
bank account is
constant
like,
thing.
hey buddy.
You gonna put anything in me?
I feel a little bit hungry here.
Well, this is amazing. I'm really excited for Aced and all the other stuff you're working on. You got Aced, you've got DED
Exorcist.
Dead. And is there anything else? Do you have anything? Where would you like to send the listeners right now as a bit of a
the biggest bang for the
plug?
buck? I mean, if people really want to read something of mine, there is.
Of course they do. That's why they're here.
All right, give me a second because the stupid link opened up in Internet Explorer, so it doesn't autofill into my normal links like it should.
Internet Explorer.
I know the computer defaults to Internet Explorer, whereas I
Not
always
really
use Chrome.
fast, I promise.
Whereas,
You want to go to Ask Jeeves?
Oh, God. I use Chrome, but
Forget Goggle.
Robots love Ask Jeeves.
here we go. Oh, God. Now I got to
Oh,
find the Internet Explorer link. We're going to go to private chat. I'm going to drop this link here. If you guys really want the most bang for the buck, there is still this monstrosity.
Dungeon Core Online.
Which, let's check out the dashboard stats here real quick. 3.4 million views.
What is
Hey.
it?
Average
That's
views,
a few.
9,919. Currently, 1,875 pages on a Railroad.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's a big one.
That's
a
the
lot of meat.
behemoth.
Are
Yeah,
you guys? Are you just not gonna publish that? On
Oh no, I
Amazon?
just finished editing the first part for publishing. So for everybody that wants to read fast, I recommend reading a bunch before it gets pulled down.
Oh, there you go.
Because, yeah, I
Oh,
have
this
to.
is
Obviously, if I publish, I pull down. That's the nature of the beast with Amazon.
Right.
This is
Right.
insane.
But yeah, the Word document. The Word document is almost to 1,000 pages total right now on that stupid thing. And it's
That's
great. It's good
mental.
times. The very first mob in it is called a Dickin. It's a demonic chicken. The very
Cheney?
first world boss is called Charles the Dickin, whose
Love it.
skills are all riffs on his books. Like we have
So
a
it's
Clucky Carol.
Oh, Charles
Okay.
the Dickens because of Charles Dickens. Sorry, it took me a moment. I was like, Charles Dickens. Yeah, Dickens. I was still
Dicking around.
laughing at that.
And then
So
and
it's
then
like a serious, like grounded, kind of morbid take on lit RPG is
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm kind of gathering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gritty,
Actually,
realistic.
crazily enough, because like I said, I'm a pantser. Well, and first off, I started writing this story while I was waiting for Bone Dungeon to be edited, but I was also writing it while I was getting ready to move. So there was just a shit ton of like drunken nights of writing.
Drunken nights.
So the editing's pretty interesting. It's like
like
going
this.
along smoothly, and then all of a sudden there's like, oh
Well,
my
so
god.
so
What I
the
have to
first
do now?
floor is demonic mobs. We have Dickens. We have suicidal sheep that blow up on contact called
like worms.
Yeah, they're good finds.
Yeah.
They have a skill called Baja Blast was an achievement for them blowing up.
A
Sounds
Mountain Dew.
delicious.
A Mountain
They're
Dew
called
for you.
sacrificial lambs. They got an upgrade called Blood for the Blood God that caused a dot on players. It was good fun. Second floor, steampunk dinosaurs. That makes sense. Third
Oh,
floor
yeah.
was
Obviously.
Gotta have that.
The best kind.
Gotta have it.
third floor was stuffed animals. Fourth floor is haunted Caribbean adventure.
What does that even mean?
Well, so there's a Davy Jones boss who rolls around in a skeletal pirate ship with his crew. There's also
Obviously.
Z Kraken, which is the zombie Kraken.
Love that. Okay.
My god. And how many floors are on this tower?
We just hit the 5th floor, which is Arctic Cyberpunk.
Arctic Cyberpunk.
Very.
So there are
Cool.
mobs called
Cool.
penguins, which are cybernetically enhanced penguins who have sniper rifles and
Penguins.
they gain a damage buff if they're by themselves and they're sniping people. So they just kind of hang out in the snowy wilderness and snipe adventurers as they're marching along their merry way. It's good fun.
This sounds incredible.
Amazing.
You got
So
a lot of
And
amazing.
then there's a Leroy Jenkins joke in. So every odd floor is a Jenkins boss. So we have
Every
Old
odd
Man-
floor.
We have Old Man Jenkins, the demonic farmer, on the first floor. We have Grandma Jenkins, who stitches together threadbare animals on the 3rd floor.
Ooh.
And then we have a Jenkins boss on the 5th floor who is actually a predator. Like Alien versus
As in
Predator.
Aliens and Predators?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah,
I love that
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
you have this like mastery of taking like two things that like you would never see even in the same conversation and just being like, what if I just took these and just
Merge them
they're the
together.
same now? Like,
Oh, that reminds me. So the 2nd floor, at one point, he upgraded his boss mob with an upgrade called Like a Sir, which gave the boss, which was obviously a steampunk T-Rex, a top hat and a monocle,
obviously.
and increased its intelligence, which then allowed for the unlocking of Velociraptors on the floor,
Colossal.
who have heat-seeking vision. Well, yeah, like thermal visioning for their aiming, and launch knowledge bombs as grenades at people.
Actual?
Obviously, he says. Obviously.
Obviously. Well, before the Velociraptor unlock, it was Velocity Raptors. For
Velocity.
yeah.
This, Jonathan, this sounds like an absolute riot. Everybody who's listening right now or watching, check out Dungeon Core Online by Johnathan Smidt. Definitely check out his other books on Royal Road as well. There's a bunch of them there. And Hallowed Bones, of course. Jonathan, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
for
been an
having me.
absolute blast.
Hell
Good
yeah.
fun. Also, the link that just got posted, we have Skeletal Fight Club t-shirts if you want a, good old be a part of the red or blue Skeletal Fight Club. We also have Infernal Bones t-shirts and Bone Dungeon t-shirts as well.
Go get your Portal t-shirts. Go get your Dungeon t-shirts.
I'm on the
Thank you,
link right
Jonathan. And I'm gonna get a t-shirt. I'm gonna get a t-shirt right now.
now. I'm gonna get a
Good
t-shirt
call.
too. See just
Right
me on
on.
that.
Already made sales, dude.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so
that's-
much, Jonathan.
I'm advertising. I never do
Yeah.
that.
Well,
I'm the worst
Good
about
on
that.
you. Good on you. Why not? Right?
It took like a year and a half for people to realize that I was also Glyhax. I wasn't just Johnathan Smidt. Like the two books never
Oh,
combined. They're
people
like,
not like connected the dots.
they're like, wait, you wrote Bone Dungeon? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to see more of that stuff get published, and
Right.
see what else you can.
All the good fun.
Yeah. What else you can do in the community, man.
I was gonna say, I
Awesome.
think I've got a bunch of like short stories too that I believe you guys and we might be chatting about.
Yes, we might be chatting about those.
Because I did have a writing stream called Books and Bourbon that generated like 100 short stories.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was
Books and
writing
Bourbon.
drunkenly for
content.
people every Friday.
That sounds like so much fun. I think we can join forces here, and I can drunkenly narrate them.
That's better because I was usually writing them and then I was narrating them, and I'm nowhere near the voice actor you guys are. So it was interesting because I was drunk, so I was giving it 100%. But
Sometimes intention is everything, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
He sat
right,
down in the
well-
chair.
Are you guys ready? I emailed you guys. Oh shit! I fucking hate spiders.
Okay.
The next portion that we're going to be narrating. Oh, Jonathan is going to go away for a second, but he's going to come back for AI Dungeon.
Oh, that was the second.
Yeah, for just 1 second. That was it.
I'm back, and then I'm gone
wanted
again.
to rearrange, so because he's
Thanks, Jonathan.
A part of the cast.
Cheers.
See you in a
for
bit.
AI. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll be doing AI Dungeon with him here in a second. But you guys get your